Senator Blumenthal, who quarterbacks a lot of deep state operations, and particularly against us and Trump, he runs the operation against us on record with the CIA and FBI. It's come out in court and Congress. Introduced a bill that's sitting there, and they said so that when he's president-elect in 19 days, that's what the numbers are showing even clearer now, that they will trigger Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and all these Islamic hordes that are allied with the left to engage in massive civil unrest, and that then Congress has a bill introduced, which is totally unconstitutional and is a coup against the executive branch and executive powers under the federalist system, to strip the president of the power to call out the military domestically.
While other networks lie to you about what's happening now, InfoWars tells you the truth about what's happening next. Visit Infowars.com/show and share the link today.
There have been two main tracks with the globalist. And all I've seen the last few years is preparation for martial law, civil unrest, race war is the cover for it. The last month I've seen some retraction of that, or at least preparation for them to go to plan B and then hand Trump a giant mess in 19 days. And then he'll still have 90 plus until he's even the president. He does have a plan this time to remove all the deep staters. He's got a brain trust of incredible people that are already ferreting away, beavering away to get that done. So I've seen basically 100% of the message by the deep state: war, collapse, cyber attacks, false flags, organized crises, to try to stop Trump, try to stop us and other populists around the globe. I began to see quite a bit of movement, not just here, but geopolitically around the world by the globalists, to begin to at least bring forward the retraction arm to pull back from the brink of destruction. But in the last 48 hours, I have seen them go back into gear, accelerating the preparation for crisis mode to try to scare us into submission. New viral releases, new fake vaccines, massive hype about right-wingers preparing false flag terror attacks. We're seeing the fake reports that militias were about to kill everybody in North Carolina and that the military stopped them. They now admit that's a fake report. We've got other fake reports of white supremacists showing up at a Trump boat parade. And of course, they were leftist, dressed up like that and got caught. We're going to see a lot more of that. But now they've had surrogates in the last 48 hours. I guess this kicked off Monday, so it's more than 48 hours now, almost 3 days. And we've seen Biden and Kamala and a bunch of globalist generals and their surrogates everywhere saying Trump is planning mass arrest, not just of the globalist, not just of the deep staters, but that Trump is going to use the military on the American people. Now, there's been a lot of behind-the-scenes programming there and also public preparation. Remember, earlier this year, Senator Blumenthal, who quarterbacks a lot of deep state operations, and particularly against us and Trump, he runs the operation against us on record with the CIA and FBI. It's come out in court and Congress. Introduced a bill that's sitting there, and they said so that when he's president-elect in 19 days, that's what the numbers are showing even clearer now, that they will trigger Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and all these Islamic hordes that are allied with the left to engage in massive civil unrest, and that then Congress has a bill introduced, which is totally unconstitutional and is a coup against the executive branch and executive powers under the federalist system, to strip the president of the power to call out the military domestically. And then that's now what Kamala and her surrogates are parroting everywhere, and I have clips of that coming up. Simultaneously, in actual policy through executive orders of Biden, 2 weeks ago, we've talked a lot about this, it hasn't gotten the attention it needed. DOD directive expands domestic military authority to include lethal force during civil unrest. Here's DOD Directive 524001. I'll talk more about that today. So while they're loading the military gun and putting it to American people's head and creating cover stories, the military's going to have to crush the right-wing terrorists that are supposedly hiding under every table or in every bush and in every closet. They are separately accusing Trump of everything that they are preparing to do. Now, obviously, most of the military are good men and women. The leadership at the top is almost completely controlled, as General Flynn is exposed, and his evidence all around us is documented. But they'll need cover stories for this. So the admitted plan is when President Trump is president-elect, trigger civil unrest around the country blaming Trump. And they'll use some type of event where there's not video of it, where the police shoot a black person, in some cases wrongly, but in most cases, they're in the right. And Black Lives Matter and the Democrats a few days ago, I've got the articles, I left them in the printer, bring them into me, please, tried to say that a black lady that got shot in an apartment building was shot by a white cop, was completely innocent, until they released the body cam footage. He let her stab him in the face and chest 3 times with a butcher knife. The police have been so conditioned to not want to go to prison via Soros prosecutor, they defend themselves, that the cop let her stab him with a 10-inch butcher knife at least 3 times before he shot her. You can see in the footage the blood dripping all over him, and then we have photos of the police officer. That's coming up. So they're looking for events like this to be the trigger, and it's not a real war between black people and white people. It is the globalists, the establishment, that's robbing and ruling over us, that's dissolved our borders, created massive inflation, started all these wars, promoting pedophilia. They need this to be the cover for some type of operation like this. And of course, first they said it was a white cop. It's an Asian cop. She tried to stab him in the eye. Did stab him in the eye. Shock video, woman attacking cop with knife, shot dead. And again, before the footage was released, the headlines were, white cop shoots unarmed black woman. So they'll use something like that, like George Floyd, who had enough fentanyl in his system to kill 3 men, had a bunch of other drugs in him as well. Autopsy report said he died of a drug overdose, but that got suppressed in the trial. And even the prosecutor that quit has gone public and filed a suit because they were fired for not wanting to put an innocent man in prison who is rotting in prison right now. So that is the reality. Now, I don't care if it was a white woman or a black woman or a brown woman. If I was a cop responding to a 911 call and a woman comes chasing me with a butcher knife, I'm going to shoot her long before she stabs me in the face and chest. But that's the police now. I see these videos where the cops will have, particularly a woman, point a gun at them. And the cops will sit there for like a minute, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it. The woman's like, I'm not going to drop it. And then I saw that video in LA of like last year, start shooting at people. They finally run her over and just hit her in the knee and knock her down. Very, very skilled. I'm hoping to be able to do that while I'm getting shot at. I'd just run her straight over. So this is the crazy town. But that's the type of trigger that will be used. We'll get to more of that coming up. Now, why are they in such panic mode? Then I'll walk through everything I just talked about with details and documents and videos. Polymarket is one of the most accurate indexes that looks at polls, betting, everything. They've got Trump at a 60.5% chance of defeating the appointed one, the selected one, Kamala at 39.3%. Kamala is totally desperate. That's why she's asking for another debate. The front runner doesn't ask for another debate. Trump is the front runner. They're claiming Trump's a coward. Trump is on so many shows it makes my head spin. He was on shows this morning, on Fox this afternoon, in a town hall, on all these other programs. He is doing Joe Rogan next week. And if Kamala doesn't back out, she's doing it. So just know that. Tomorrow's news today. And I'll just leave it there. That means right down the street from my office, there'll be a lot of Secret Service swarming about. Rogan's studio. So that's going to be interesting. I don't know how in the hell she's accepted this. She's such a buffoon. And even if Rogan's nice to her and just lets her talk, the more we hear from her, the more we hate her. This is a woman that polled at 2% in the Democrat primaries. Wow. So even Politico, well, here's the headlines. Federal employees are worried about a return of Donald Trump to the White House. Deep state panicking, that's the quote, over prospect of Trump comeback, Politico warns. Trump continues to surge in battleground states. And that's even in, again, polls we broke down with Roger Stone yesterday, where they are, in a particular poll he listed, sampling 8% more Democrats than Republicans. Well, in major national studies, multiple ones by Gallup and others, the Republican Party, for the first time since Ronald Reagan, is now the majority party of voters polled. What's that tell you? So they're still sampling more Democrats, depending on the poll, between 5 and 15%. And then you wonder why Trump's only leading by 5 points in these polls. Well, because they're adding up to 15 points extra of Democrats they're polling. And the majority are still saying they're going to vote for the establishment globalist New World Order. InfoWars is up for sale November 13th. That's 28 days from the time I'm taping this on October 15th. But regardless what happens to InfoWars, it's just a building. The people are the InfoWar. I'm the InfoWar. So I intend to stay on air. But to do that, our outside sponsors need your support. And one of the greatest ones is drjonesnaturals.com, my dad's supplement company. Just one of the products. Next Level Foundational Energy is not a stimulant, but it feels like a stimulant with no letdown because it's the concentrated breakdown of folic acid, you know, that is in the spinach that Popeye loves. So your body can completely absorb it with a complex of other key vitamins that upload it right in your cells. I want it right now. No letdown, incredible energy, next level foundational energy, exclusively available at drjonesnaturals.com. Believe me, you want to get a bottle of next level foundational energy because it won't just empower your body and give you incredible clean energy with no letdown. It will fund me staying on the air one way or another. Go to drjonesnaturals.com and get next level foundational energy right now.